Hello all. So this is my Trimit case trimmer, and I just wanted to show how I did to mount it and use it. This is not the Trimit 2, even though the Trimit body here is the same as the Trimit 2. I still have the high-speed steel cutter. In hindsight, I probably should have gotten the three-way cutter that was available at the time I got this. I like to show what I've done with it. So basically, I have a 130th horsepower scroll saw motor. I got it off eBay for about 20 bucks. I was going to use it originally for a tumbler, but or a wet tumbling system, but I just went ahead and bought a Frankfurt Arsenal wet tumbler, and that works pretty good. So this was sitting for a while, and I decided to use it for my case trimmer. So what I did here was basically put an L plate steel, and I mounted it, the motor to it. And if you're wondering what this is for, it's basically for a plastic jug or plastic container, which I use as a chip guard and for easy cleanup. Now what I did with this is just mounted it in, screwed it in, followed the template for the motor mounting, and that's how it came out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim some Lake City brass right here, and I'll give you an idea of how it looks when it's cutting. I wanted something that was comfortable use. I didn't have to hold a drill or a cordless drill and then keep going and forcing it in and all that, and it gets both hands tired for me. So I decided I would just use this, since I had all the stuff laying around, and it was all done without any fancy tools. It was just a bolt and drill and stuff, and it was all good. So one thing of note though was that when I got this motor, it spun counterclockwise. So a friend of mine told me I could reverse some wiring in here and get it to spin clockwise, so it will match the rotation of the cutter head. So let me give you an example of how it does. This brass doesn't need too much trimming. The only caveat is this motor is kind of weak, so if I force it, it tends to stop the motor. But I've tried this all 6.5 Creedmoor, 308, of course 223, 556, and 300 blackout. And if it needs minimal trimming, or I've done some pretty long trims with this, but I prefer not to overwork the motor. The motor itself actually does have its own internal cooling fan on the back, so it can run pretty long before it gets even warm. And then of course you can see the heat fins here. So let me go ahead and run it so you guys can get an idea of how it looks when it's in operation. So go ahead and insert the brass. And it's pretty quick. I do plan to get the three-way cutter head and install it on here. I preset my trim to length to 1.75, and just to note, there was a little bit of run out, but I noticed that the cutter actually spins pretty true. It's just the body of the Trimit has a little bit of run out. But what I did is let me shut this down and I'll give you a look. And if you notice, it captures, well, you can't really see it, but if you can see here, it captures the chip. So, and just the cutout here allows me to put my hand in there and cut. So when it comes time to clean up, oh, there you can see some of the chips. I just did a couple of brasses. All I like to do is take it and dump it back out. And if you're interested, this motor actually came with a 5/16 shaft. I went on eBay and I got a 5/16 to 3/8 shaft adapter, and just a couple of set screws to hold everything in place. One other thing I did was I put a 3/8 collar so I could tighten it down, because when I first tried this, I actually noticed that this will help keep the trimmer die body from sliding back. I put this set screw so basically there's no play, because when I first tried this in here, what actually the body could slide back was if I was pushing too hard. But I already learned that I shouldn't be pushing that hard because it will vary your case trim length. So I set up my cutter ready for the, like I said, 1.750. The closest I get, closest cut average I get is between 1.7510 and 1.7525. So that's, to me, that's satisfactory for my needs. Like I said, I just want to get the 3-way carbide cutter to upgrade this so I can do 3-way, trim, chamfer, and deburr. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just leave a comment on my YouTube page. Thanks for watching all. Have a good day. Shoot safe.